All right, so we're gonna get into 3 books now. So books, video or the movies and the TV shows, that's not my thing. Books, even for a meathead, I love myself some books. And so I'm gonna be a little bit more informed with the books. Right now, I just started reading The Plague by Albert Camus. And so Albert Camus was a 20th century French philosopher, and he writes this book that's eerily, well, not as bad, but it's eerily similar to the quarantine and what we're going through now with this coronavirus. So I'm about 30 pages in. I'm hoping he ends on a high note, but he's probably not gonna. It's probably gonna make me feel worse about the whole situation. But I love it. I love Camus, Myth of Sisyphus. He's one of my favorite philosophers. I enjoy reading his stuff. So that's a book I'm reading now that I'll continue to read. Again, get some perspective on this quarantine and this pandemic that we're in. You also got to lighten it up, right? So the Bible, I'm assuming the Bible is just that's.
It's a book.
Yeah, I mean, it's a book, but that's like, if you're not reading that now, my goodness.
That's a given.
It's a given. That's right. Everybody's reading it. You got it. Every morning, every night, got to get up and read that. I mean, just to keep yourself grounded in this crazy time. What's another good book to go to now? The Graveyard Book. The Graveyard Book by, is it Neil Gaiman? It is unbelievable. So I heard this book. Tim Ferriss is a podcaster, and he recommended this book, said it's one of the best books he's ever read, called The Graveyard Book. It's a fiction book, and it's about a kid who can basically speak to dead people, and he grows up in a graveyard. And so really, I mean, it's just one of those books that you can read time and time again. It's so much fun. So The Graveyard Book. So we got Camus, we got The Graveyard Book, and then we got to go with another one, huh? 3. I'm always have a tough time on the 3rd one.
All right, 3 books. I pride myself on being a very active reader. Also, big rereader. I will go back through books that I enjoy. One of them, see him over my shoulder here, Bear Bryant. Actually wouldn't go with this one. This one's good, but it came out in the 70s. I would go with The Last Coach. Really enjoyed it. It was a lot longer look at Bear Bryant's life and Alabama football, and just, such an original character. And I read it once, probably 5 or 6 years ago, so I'd love to redo that one. It's a longer volume, so apparently if I have time, that'd be a great one to redo. There's a gap. I know Aaron Jackson is a huge fan of his. I've only read like 2 Stephen King books ever, and they were both like really short. So I'm just gonna say Something Thick by Stephen King. That's not a title, though that seems like that would be a good 2020 title. It's just called Something Thick. I don't think it'd be a Stephen King type book, but Something Thick sounds interesting. I don't know. Jackson had like the thickest Stephen King books ever. There's the one with the date, November something, 1963. That one might be good. It's sort of about JFK, I hear.
Yes.
But it's not. And then James Franco played Kennedy or something. Was that a movie?
James Franco's the main character.
Okay.
He's not Kennedy.
Well, Kennedy was the main character of that assassination. I'm not reading Under the Dome. That TV show sucked. I watched like a season because I thought they were going to get out in the season.
3 seasons.
No, I quit in season 2 and I realized, like, wait, they're not getting out in the end of the season. Like, that's why I watched that damn thing. And they didn't get out from Under the Dome. And I had to watch Hank from Breaking Bad just be a dink to everyone. So, all right, so Something Thick by Stephen King, probably the one about the date where James Franco doesn't play Kennedy, but maybe gets assassinated anyway. The other one, I'm gonna go, this is like the cheating one. This is like when Dwight says he would take the physician's desk reference with him to a deserted island, but then hollow it out and fill it with like guns and matches. I'm gonna go with this biography on Frank Sinatra I read a few years ago. It's actually 2 parts, but it's essentially one book because they couldn't bind a book this thick. Because part 1 was like 800 pages, part 2 was like 790 pages, plus all the source material, so they're both like that thick. So I want thick books. I like thick books, and I cannot lie, I want 2 chonk Frank Sinatra books. I want a thick Stephen King book, and then I want a book on Bear Bryant. That's what I'm gonna read.
So for books, I made this really easy on myself. This is a series that I have read time and time again. Sterling talked about the thick Stephen King books. Spoiler alert, they're all thick. and he knows because I had a bookshelf full of them when we lived together. This comprised of an entire shelf all by itself, and that's the Dark Tower series. It is the best book I've ever read. Every single one of them gets progressively better and better and better. They're all like this big. Except for the first one, it's only like this big, but the rest are like this big, so it's going to take you a ton of time to get through them. I've read them all the way through, I think 2 or 3 times. Don't watch the movie. A lot of people say, well, I want to watch the movie and then I'll read the books. No. The movie is the worst movie that has ever existed in the universe. Read the books. They are phenomenal. The movie does not do it justice. It is sad, and it makes me sad, and that is it.
The Bible is a given. The Bible's a given, so we're not going to count that one. What's another good book? Okay. What is the existential detective story? What the heck? You can cut this out. I'm trying to remember the name of this book. It's so good. You're going to cut this out, right?
Nope.
Ah, damn it. What's the name of this book by Holt? It's a great book.
You like time lapses.
Where's my phone? Can somebody get? Hold on. I gotta.
No, you gotta get this book. And I'm blanking on the name because I'm on the spot, but it's like we can cut this out. Yep. Are you serious? It's safe. Hold on. I'm sorry. Stay with me, people. Is it the existential detective story? Hold on. I'm going. Don't give up.
Why Does the World Exist? An existential detective story by Jim Holt. Why does the world exist? This book is fantastic. Jim Holt, I think he's a reporter. You ever heard of him before? You guys ever heard of him? He goes around and he interviews some of the best thinkers in different worldviews, right? So atheism, Christianity, and then all these wild ones, panpsychism, all these really crazy worldviews. And it's basically that. It's an existential detective story where he goes and he looks at all these different worldviews and what people believe about the world, where we came from, where we're going. That's a fun book to read. Jim Holt, Why Does the World Exist? An existential detective story. Those would be the 3. Read the Bible too.